Good evening, everyone. We will now begin the evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters, expressing our gratitude to God and Meishu-sama for the protection received while participating in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and prayer, please stand. 高天原に住まります。かむろぎかむろみのみこともちてすめみよやかむいさなぎのみことつくしのいむかの立ち花のおどのあぎあらにみそぎあらいたおうときになりませる。あらいどの神たちもろもろのまがごと罪汚れを洗いたまえ清めたまえと直すことのよしをあます神国津神やおよろずの神たちともに雨の淵駒の耳振り立ててひこしめせとかしこみむまおす弥勒御神守りたまえ先あえたまえ弥勒御神守りたまえ先あえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先あえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先あえたまえかんながらたまちはえませ。かんながらたまちはえませ。Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated. We will now receive group Johrei. Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teaching. Happiness. When people cannot detach themselves from greed and unlimited material desire, they ruin themselves in spirit and body. How tragic it is. Many are blinded by greed and temporal pleasures, losing sight of the true path to eternal happiness. Freedom of choice is given to everyone. Through our thoughts, we can create heaven or hell. Two of our most common and characteristically human weaknesses are ego and attachment. In fact, they are so closely related they could be considered twins. Careful observation of any complicated, unsolved problem reveals that its reason almost always lies in these twins. For example, some ego-driven public officials with inordinate attachment to their offices are eventually forced to quit in disgrace. When business people place the pursuit of money and self-profit before the good of their company and fellow workers, they often lose their fortune in the long run. The over-possessiveness of one lover can actually cause the other to seek an end to the relationship. Individuals who make those around them suffer as a result of being obstinate and egocentric eventually bring about suffering for themselves as well. A major goal of religion is to help us rid ourselves of our overindulgent egos and extreme attachments. Ever since I learned this truth and began putting it into practice, I have freed myself from a great deal of mental suffering. And in every area of life, I have experienced good results. The adage, do not worry about either the past or the future, is wise indeed.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening service of the Miroku Association. In this teaching that Meishu-sama talks about over-possessiveness, he gave an example in another article, stating like this. So in this romantic relationship, there is attachment. It is like, imagine, if you will, a bucket filled with water. So when you want to bring the bucket towards you, the water goes away. And on the contrary, when you push the bucket, then the water comes towards you. So that's how we can relate. So if we are being over possessive, then the person will run away from us because there is pressure, people feel suffocated. We hear that kind of expression. In a relationship, someone is so intense that the others feel, no, wait a minute, I need my space, I need to breathe. So that's a very simple but effective example that Meishu-sama gave us to understand how to balance these feelings. Today I would like to share this faith experience. It is from Hernani Parente. Hernani is from Aveiro, Portugal. And he is a missionary in the Braga Johrei Center, and he's also a math school teacher. Hernani, like many of his co-workers, was facing a daily struggle to maintain discipline and classroom order so that at least a basic curriculum could be taught. It was a very difficult situation since the students' behavior was deplorable. They were provocative and had no discipline, did not carry on their studies, and all were blaming the world for their ups and downs. They challenged the younger ones with a provocative air, had no rules, and in many cases consumed drugs to alienate themselves. And that just accentuated all their negative aspects. The teachers have tried in various ways to solve this problem, trying, for example, to be more rigid and authoritarian, but the situation worsened. For his part, despite trying not to respond with violence to this terrible scenario, he realized that the rebellion in his classrooms was only increasing. One morning was particularly troublesome, to the point that a colleague told him, "Oh, Hernani, it is not just the students from the grades we are teaching. This is happening in all grades at this school. It seems that they are lost, that they have no goals. They don't study because they don't appreciate being educated." On this same day in the afternoon, Hernani participated in a study session at the Johrei Center with the presence of all ministers in Europe. Upon returning home while getting a ride from his minister, Hernani listened to an inspiring faith experience from Africa, and this touched him in a special way. The faith experience goes like this. "My name is Maria Luangana. I'm not a member of this church yet, and reside in Pantanal, Angola. The experience that I'm about to tell you is connected to miracles by Meishu-sama, lived through the practice of offering donations of appreciation and the practice of the sowing of gratitude. On December 22nd, the day of Meishu-sama's birthday service there, I went to the Johrei Center and materialized my gratitude donation for the construction of a school of nature farming. That same night, while I was away, burglars broke into my house and stole 2 mattresses, a plasma TV, a stereo sound system, and $200. Faced with this purification, instead of protesting or complaining, I immediately went to the Johrei Center to thank this purification as a manifestation of my ancestors. I did the practice of sowing of gratitude, and I materialized another donation with my utmost effort, surrendering everything into the hands of the Supreme God and Meishu-sama. To my surprise, the following day, the burglars showed up in my house, returning everything they had stolen, asking me to forgive them and not report them to the police because they said they had entered the wrong house. In response, I said to them, "Oh, thank God, Meishu-sama and my ancestors." This incredible fact caused my neighbors to ask me what kind of special magic I used that had led the burglars to spontaneously return the stolen goods. With this experience, I have learned that nothing is really ours and that everything belongs to the Supreme God. Today, I have no doubt that Meishu-sama is the long-awaited Messiah, Savior of humanity, and that by putting into practice the directives of this church and the guidelines of its ministers, we will receive protection from the Supreme God and Meishu-sama. So remember, Maria was not a member yet when she had that faith experience. So this experience touched Hernani deeply to the importance of expressing gratitude in difficult situations through the practice of offering gratitude donations. The next day, the violence in school increased. The students were even more aggressive, out of control. He left school shocked by their wild behavior. As he arrived home early, and there was still before dusk, he went for a walk with his dog to the Serra da Freita, a series of mountainous hills which are located near his home. His dog, as usual, ran before him all by herself. He returned home without her, which was also a normal thing. Then woke up at 1 in the morning to put her in her doghouse and realized that she had not returned. He began to be pervaded by terrible anguish, thinking that she had been caught by wild boars, since those hills are full of them. He felt terrible imagining her suffering. Suddenly, he remembered the experience from the African lady and decided at that moment to make a monetary offering to express gratitude for this situation. Soon after, his students appeared in his thoughts. Then he began for the first time to imagine the suffering that they too were experiencing, that all their violent behavior, in truth, was nothing but the manifestation of the suffering of their ancestors. Thus Hernani understood that his dog was used to wake him up to the fact he had no feeling of gratitude for his students, who somehow were a reason for his employment. In that moment in his mind, he asked them for forgiveness with sincerity and thanked God for their existence. At dawn, before going out in search of his dog, he went in front of his Meishu-sama's picture and prayed so he could find his dog, but realizing it would be as if looking for a needle in a haystack. He started with a plan, but realized that he was taking a different direction and noticed that his steps were somehow being guided. Quickly, he found himself in a place where he never imagined that the dog could be found. Exactly the opposite place to what he originally planned. Not even 10 minutes had passed when he heard a dog bark. It was his dog. She was caught in a trap, but was fine. What a relief and great emotion he felt at that moment. It was a miracle. If he had to travel several miles according to his original plan, it would have taken at least a full day to find her, and she would have sustained more serious injuries. This happened in just 10 minutes, and he felt it was just unbelievable. With no time to celebrate, he quickly went to school and was presented with the following. The students were calm, peaceful, and doing their math studies. Hernani was very amazed. In the following week, he checked that the students kept this change. He felt that the general atmosphere at school had improved a lot. This experience taught him that violence creates more violence, and that the countermeasures are selfless love and the manifestation of gratitude for the manifestation of our beloved ancestors. This experience confirmed in his mind and feelings the truth that everything is within us, and that his inner change has helped generate the serenity of his students. From the moment he materialized his gratitude for the existence of his students, their change took place. In his daily life, Hernani wants to fulfill his true mission, which begins by being thankful for the existence of all people around him. From now on, he wants to be vigilant to change his thoughts, feelings, words, and incorrect actions at every moment, and to let himself be guided more and more by the teachings of Meishu-sama and Nidai-sama. Hernani is very thankful to God, Meishu-sama, and his ancestors for this great experience. So this was a very nice experience by Hernani Parente from Portugal. I want to thank you for listening to these words. Wish you a very wonderful weekend. Thank you.
This brings to a conclusion our evening service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a blessed evening.